Imagine a world where the ocean's apex predator never went extinct. The Megalodon, a monstrous shark that dominated the seas for millions of years, remains one of the most terrifying creatures to ever exist. At an estimated length of up to 60 feet with jaws powerful enough to crush a small car, the Megalodon was a force of nature, ruling the oceans during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs. But what if it never stopped evolving? What if this behemoth continued to adapt, becoming even more formidable, more intelligent, and better equipped to thrive in today's oceans? To understand what this alternate timeline could look like, we first need to explore what made the original Megalodon so successful. Its size gave it the advantage in combat and hunting, but it wasn't just brute strength that made it dominant. Megalodons had highly developed senses, particularly smell and hearing, which allowed them to detect prey from miles away. They likely had a fast metabolism, needed to sustain their enormous size, which means they had to hunt frequently and strategically. Their diet mainly consisted of large whales, seals, and other marine mammals, which they could ambush with incredible speed and precision. If the Megalodon had never gone extinct and continued to evolve over millions of years, natural selection would have shaped it in response to changing oceanic conditions, new prey, human impact, and competition with other predators. One of the first adaptations we might see is an improvement in energy efficiency. The modern oceans don't offer the same abundance of megafauna as they once did. To survive, a modern Megalodon might evolve a slower metabolism or better fat storage capabilities, allowing it to go longer between meals. It could also diversify its diet, perhaps adapting to consume squid, large fish, and even scavenging carcasses more regularly. Size might still be a key factor, but evolution tends to favor efficiency over raw power. A modern, evolved Megalodon might not be 60 feet long anymore. It could be slightly smaller, perhaps around 40 to 50 feet, allowing it to maneuver more easily through coral reefs, deeper waters, or undersea canyons. However, its body would likely become more streamlined, similar to modern great whites but more robust, built for bursts of speed and silent ambushes. With better camouflage abilities and refined hunting strategies, it might resemble a massive hybrid between a great white and a killer whale. Stealthy, intelligent, and deadly. Speaking of intelligence, this is where evolution could have taken the Megalodon in a radically new direction. In our timeline, sharks are generally considered to be instinct-driven rather than intelligent. But what if the Megalodon had developed a larger brain relative to its body? With a more complex social structure, the evolved Megalodon might not hunt alone. Imagine a pack of megasharks coordinating to corral a pod of whales, similar to the way orcas hunt today. This would completely change the dynamic of marine ecosystems, turning the evolved Megalodon into a strategic, team-oriented predator capable of toppling even the most elusive prey. Now, consider how the Megalodon would have interacted with human civilization. As we expanded across the oceans with fishing, shipping, and deep-sea exploration, we would inevitably cross paths with this apex predator. Encounters with such a creature would be catastrophic. Ships damaged or sunk, divers and underwater infrastructure targeted, even beachgoers in danger if these sharks migrated to warmer coastal waters. Coastal communities might be forced to adapt their architecture and activity. We could be looking at beach enclosures the size of stadiums or sonar detection networks along popular coastlines, warning systems not for tsunamis, but for shark attacks. On the scientific front, this creature would have fascinated biologists and marine ecologists. Entire institutions would be dedicated to studying and protecting, or perhaps controlling, these giants. Marine tourism might thrive on the idea of seeing a real-life sea monster, and documentaries would become global sensations. But conservation efforts would be a double-edged sword. Keeping such a predator in balance with human interests would be incredibly challenging. If these sharks fed on whales, their existence could interfere with already fragile whale populations. Conversely, if humans overfished their food sources, megalodons could come closer to shore, increasing the risk to humans and creating ethical dilemmas on how to handle these ancient beasts. Another fascinating possibility is how the megalodon's evolution might affect other marine species. Their presence would pressure other predators like orcas and great white sharks to evolve new behaviors or retreat into specialized niches. Over time, we might see a complete reshuffling of the ocean's food web. Coral reefs could either benefit or suffer depending on how these predators interact with reef-based ecosystems. Some fish species might go extinct, while others adapt in unexpected ways, evolving tougher scales, enhanced escape reflexes, or even cooperative defense tactics. Then there's climate change. As ocean temperatures rise, many species are shifting their habitats. An evolved megalodon might develop the ability to thrive in wider temperature ranges, from icy Arctic waters to tropical shallows. This adaptability could make it nearly unstoppable, expanding its hunting grounds across the globe. It might even venture deeper into the ocean, targeting giant squids or other deep-sea creatures, carving out a niche in the pitch-black world miles beneath the surface. With evolutionary adaptations like bioluminescent lure appendages or enhanced sonar-like senses, it would dominate regions that few other creatures dare to enter. As we dive deeper into this speculative world, we start to see just how much of an impact an evolving megalodon would have on human society and technology. To better understand the implications, we need to think about the advancements we'd have to make to keep up with this massive predator. With an apex predator this size, humanity would likely develop new technologies, both for safety and research. Specialized vessels, possibly similar to submersibles, would be deployed to study these sharks in their natural habitats. These craft would need to be highly reinforced to withstand the force of a megalodon attack. After all, a creature that can take down a whale would certainly have no trouble crushing a small research vessel. Scientists would use advanced tracking systems, perhaps similar to the tagging methods used for modern sharks, but on a much larger scale. The need for faster, more precise sonar and underwater drones would become a priority. We might even see the creation of entire oceanic military forces designed to protect coastlines or monitor megalodon populations. The presence of a megalodon in modern oceans could lead to a drastic shift in the global economy. Fisheries would be forced to adapt to the new ecosystem. Some commercial fishing companies might find themselves competing with an apex predator for the same prey. In this scenario, large fishing trawlers would need to reevaluate their strategies, potentially using massive nets and underwater fences to prevent the megalodon from disrupting their operations. The fishing industry could see a boom in shark tourism, with people traveling from around the world to catch a glimpse of these legendary creatures. But it wouldn't be just the fishing industry affected. Coastal tourism, one of the world's largest industries, might experience a major shift. Areas once popular for beach vacations could become ghost towns, as tourists opt for safer destinations far away from the waters where these sharks roam. Diving and snorkeling businesses might take a hit, while shark diving companies could thrive, offering tourists the chance to safely observe megalodons in their natural environment, perhaps even in controlled enclosures or specially designed submarines. On the other hand, the constant threat of shark attacks could mean governments would have to spend billions on new technologies, warnings, and protective measures including massive nets or automated drones patrolling coastlines. One of the most significant consequences of an evolving megalodon would be the impact on marine ecosystems. Imagine a world where the food chain becomes completely restructured. As a predator that primarily preys on large marine mammals, the megalodon would exert immense pressure on populations of whales, seals, and dolphins. In this new world, the megafauna of the oceans would be directly threatened, leading to potential population collapses of key species. The ripple effect would cascade down the food web, creating a shortage of prey for smaller predators. Fish populations could dwindle as the megalodon hunts larger marine animals, disrupting food sources for everything from smaller sharks to seabirds. However, there's also the possibility of new marine species evolving to fill niches left by those who were driven to extinction. Evolution often favors those who adapt the fastest. In this case, we might see the rise of new predators, perhaps faster, more elusive creatures that are able to outmaneuver the megalodon or find shelter in places it can't reach. Smaller sharks, like the great white, might evolve into more cunning, faster species, possibly developing unique hunting strategies to avoid competition with the megalodon. New marine mammals like smaller cetaceans or even larger fish could emerge, utilizing new survival tactics to coexist in a world with such an apex predator. As we explore this alternate history further, we also have to consider the possibility of megalodon hybrids. If these creatures continue to evolve and adapt, they could potentially crossbreed with other shark species or even other types of marine life. The result could be hybrids, creatures with the raw power of a megalodon, but with enhanced abilities from other species. Imagine a shark that not only possesses the size and power of the megalodon, but also the speed and agility of a mako shark, or the endurance of an orca. These hybrid sharks could dominate entire regions of the ocean, creating a new kind of predator that we've never seen before, one that is capable of evolving much faster than the megalodon ever could on its own. If these creatures evolved to be even more powerful, it's possible that humanity might be forced to rethink its role in the ocean. We might need to establish underwater colonies or research stations to study these sharks in a safer environment. Nations could begin to implement strict ocean conservation laws to protect both the megalodon and other species that could be endangered by such a powerful predator. Over time, humans could develop a symbiotic relationship with these creatures, studying them while also ensuring their existence in the face of a rapidly changing planet. On the other hand, there could also be military implications. With such an overwhelming predator lurking beneath the waves, naval forces around the world might begin to develop anti-megalodon weaponry. The oceans could become a new front in the arms race, with governments investing in specialized anti-predator technology, things like sonar jamming devices, electromagnetic weapons to deter shark attacks, or even underwater explosives to defend against incursions. These technologies could be a response to the increased danger posed by a megalodon that's adapting and growing more capable of preying on human infrastructure. The situation would raise some serious questions. As the oceans evolve in response to the megalodon's dominance, would humans continue to fish and explore the seas, or would we retreat, leaving the oceans to the very predators we once feared? It's a moral dilemma that could shape the future of our relationship with the natural world. The very presence of a modern megalodon would challenge our perceptions of the ocean as a safe and hospitable environment. What we consider our playground, where we swim and explore, could transform into a place of constant tension between humanity and one of the greatest predators ever to have lived. Would we ever feel safe again in the open ocean? Would our understanding of the food chain and ecosystems be forever altered? As we near the end of this speculative journey into a world where the megalodon never stopped evolving, it's clear that such a scenario would reshape more than just the physical dynamics of the oceans. The human experience, both in terms of survival and understanding of the natural world, would be fundamentally altered. Imagine a world where the oceans are no longer a mysterious yet familiar realm, but a battleground between humanity and the planet's most fearsome predator. The Megalodon, having evolved to adapt to both environmental changes and human encroachment, would redefine the rules of survival. In this new world, the oceans could no longer be treated as mere resources to be exploited. Instead, we would need to shift our approach to marine conservation, understanding that the presence of this apex predator demands respect for the delicate balance of life beneath the waves. With such a dominant predator in the mix, we would likely see an increased effort in oceanic protection, with massive global initiatives aimed at safeguarding not only the Megalodon, but also the ecosystem as a whole. Marine protected areas could grow exponentially, not only to shield other vulnerable species, but also to study and monitor the Megalodon's evolutionary path. The focus on understanding marine life would likely lead to significant advancements in biology, ecology, and even technologies to preserve the oceans for future generations. But perhaps one of the most profound changes would be in our collective psyche. The Megalodon, a creature that has been relegated to the realm of myths and documentaries, would become an undeniable reality. Imagine a world where humans live in constant awareness of this primal force lurking beneath the water's surface, its presence shaping how we view the ocean and the creatures that inhabit it. The Megalodon would no longer be a symbol of ancient terror, but a living, breathing creature that we must contend with. A modern-day dinosaur of the sea. In such a world, we might see humanity grappling with the tension between curiosity and fear. Marine scientists and adventurers would push the limits of exploration, seeking new ways to understand and interact with this magnificent predator. The public, captivated by the idea of witnessing such an ancient creature in action, would be torn between fascination and caution. Shark enthusiasts, previously dedicated to studying smaller species, would likely flock to the waters where megalodons roam, eager to catch a glimpse of these leviathans, while others would demand stronger protections to limit human exposure. A pivotal moment in this world would come when humanity has to decide whether the Megalodon is a creature to be protected, studied, and preserved, or whether it's a danger too great to ignore. Should we take the same approach to megalodons as we have with endangered species like whales or elephants, conserving their environment and working to prevent further extinction? Or do we face the grim reality that some creatures, no matter how awe-inspiring, may simply be too dangerous to coexist with human activities? One thing is certain. The megalodon's presence would forever alter the trajectory of human-ocean relations. It would likely spark a new era of ocean exploration, scientific discovery, and philosophical debates on humanity's role in the natural world. Could we live alongside such a predator, or would it eventually push us out of its territories, forcing us to retreat inland as we face an ocean dominated by the ancient forces of nature? In conclusion, the question of what would happen if the megalodon never stopped evolving takes us into uncharted territory. The answer is a world where the oceans are no longer ours to command, but shared with a creature that has stood the test of time, evolving into an even more powerful and intelligent force. It's a world where the boundaries between human civilization and the natural world blur, challenging us to reconsider our place in the grand scheme of life on Earth. So, while the megalodon's reign over the ancient seas may have come to an end millions of years ago, its hypothetical return would forever reshape the oceans, our scientific understanding, and perhaps most importantly, our very relationship with the natural world around us. The question isn't just, what if the megalodon never stopped evolving? It's what if we were forced to evolve alongside it?